There is no place quite like North Toronto. It's true, the years I spent here and all my experiences were critically important to all that I have achieved so far. Grade 12 is an exciting year, a year full of deadlines, responsibilities, choices, optimism, and fear. But don't worry, we all felt it. And all the emotions of this year will serve you well. As you heard, I'm a television journalist. I wanted to be a journalist since I was a child. I find people fascinating, their personal stories, their motivation. I'm also very curious, and I love to learn. So I get to tell visual stories for a living. What's not to love about that? So what was my path? Well, my first job was when I was 8 years old with my sister delivering newspapers on our street. At NT, I tried a variety of things. I was part of the hot air crew, Maytime Melodies, theater, GAA, teams, OFSA, the environmental club, and student council. As an undergraduate in university, I studied history. I found it immensely helpful in so many ways. Essay writing, research, analyzing, and synthesizing information, these are skills that I use every day. In addition to my academics, I also wrote for the university newspaper, and I hosted a campus radio show. Now here's some advice. All your extracurricular activities are very important. Think of it as basically sampling from the buffet of life. You'll try something and you decide it's not really for you, or you might go back for more and more. Also, when you're trying to land your first job, any experience will help. You're going to be up against other students who basically have the same degrees as you did, who took the same courses, you have the same grades. So you need something to set you apart. And any potential employer that sees that you have any sort of experience will see that you have passion for it and that you're willing to work hard. So here's an example of that, so try to follow this. One day, while hosting my campus radio show, fortunately for me, a CBC producer was listening. She called the radio station looking for me, and next thing I knew, I was hosting a CBC radio program. Having CBC on my resume opened a door to an interview at KGO, which is a notoriously tough ABC station in San Francisco. And then having ABC on my resume helped me land a place in a very tough master's degree program at Northwestern University, where 90% of students are rejected. And then after getting that degree, that helped me land a full-time reporting job with CTV as a local reporter. Back then it was called CFTO. Now all that from my little campus radio show. Now I have a 16-year-old stepdaughter, Emily, and I said to her, she's in grade 11, and I said, what do you think the grade 12 students want to hear about? And she said, well, make sure you tell them about the moves. So, moving. I lived in 12 cities in 10 years, mainly self-imposed moves, but when you are willing to move as a journalist, you get promoted and new opportunities come your way. I started as a local news reporter, then I became a Queen's Park reporter, then a health reporter, and then a national correspondent for the network newscasts. I have lived in San Francisco, Chicago, Halifax, Ottawa, Toronto, Washington, D.C. 3 times, and Vancouver. I've reported from all over this fantastic country, all over the US, and from Italy and Thailand, where I covered a coup. So how do you train for this profession if you're interested in it? With journalism changing so quickly, thanks to social media, 24-hour news channels, and an increasingly fragmented audience, training for the profession is changing as well, or it's just really trying to keep up. My path as an undergraduate, as I said, was a BA in history and postgraduate in journalism. Many of my colleagues followed a similar path. They completed an undergraduate degree in really anything they were interested in: history, English, business, sociology, political science. And then they went on to take a university or a college course in journalism. You can also specialize and enter immediately into a journalism program, but that is not something that I personally would recommend. I believe that the more you learn about the world around you, the better journalist you will become. These days, the lines can be blurred between a citizen blogger and a traditional journalist. So what's the difference? A journalist operates under standards that we must uphold. At Global, we have to adhere to our code of ethics and standards. There are also watchdog agencies, like the Broadcast Standards Council, who monitor what we do. And if there's a complaint from anybody in the public, every word and frame of a report is scrutinized by a committee for accuracy, fairness, equality, and presentation. We also follow certain conventions. We don't pay for interviews. We must find a variety of sources and voices, and our work is vetted by an editorial manager to check for facts. A reporter's basic daily job is to go out and find the facts of the story, people to interview, represents, as I said, different opinions, figure out how to visually tell a story, and then prepare that story for a broadcast. More and more, it is imperative for anyone in the broadcast journalism now is to be trained to be able to shoot video, edit video, and know how to transmit it. You have to do it all. Now, getting back to social media for a second, this is critically important. It's a critically important platform to share, and it's also changed reporting around the world, not only in its immediacy, but also the size of the audience that it reaches. It's a powerful tool, but it also needs to be approached with a level of critical examination into accuracy. I know we've all seen that Jimmy Kimmel video that was, up for bid and it came back as being a fake. So things like that. And a lot of media organizations ran that. So you have to be careful about what you're running, what the source is, and if it's truthful. So what's it like being a journalist? You get to meet fascinating people, witness events, learn new things every day. And no 2 days are ever the same. It's fast-paced and it's fun. But in order to succeed, you have to be committed to working long hours. On the weekends, nights, and those dinner plans you made with your friends, often you'll have to cancel last minute. Your life is dictated by news events. In some ways, broadcast journalism is not a profession, it's a lifestyle. I will end with some of the best advice I've ever received. I was working for CTV. I had been offered 2 jobs by the network. Job number 1 meant moving to Vancouver to be part of a team launching a brand new station. And job number 2 was a move to Ottawa to cover politics. I was conflicted, so I went to see the CEO of CTV, and he said to me, "Allison, do whatever scares you the most." And it's fantastic advice, because from fear comes growth. And for thinking people who need to be challenged, you must pick a career, especially early on, that's demanding, fun, sometimes frustrating, but in the end, rewarding. Being a journalist, having the ability to affect change, and telling stories for a living has been the best choice for me. Thank you.